Chef's Haven, and today we're going to be utilizing our late summer harvest. And one of our best harvests at late summer is, of course, our tomatoes. So we're going to create a great, simple Italian tomato sauce, which is the sauteed Pomodoro. Pomodoro being Italian for tomato. Very simple, all fresh ingredients. We'll be utilizing our fresh tomatoes, fresh garlic, fresh herbs, and of course some onion. Basically it's those ingredients with some olive oil, and you can add whatever you want to it. If you want to do something like adding seafood, you could do frutti di mare with fresh seafood or clams or oysters. It doesn't matter what you want to do. You can do anything you want with this sauce. But we're going to make the basic sauce. We're just going to serve it over pasta with some fresh herbs, and then we'll grate some nice Parmesan cheese over the top. What you want to do is you want to start with some nice fresh tomatoes from your garden. And what we're going to do is core the tomato, just actually taking the tops off the tomatoes. You can use a little core like this and just twist off the tops, and then we're going to score the bottoms. And so very simple. Take the cores out, score the bottoms, and then we're going to plunge them in some boiling water, and we're going to take the skins off of these. So we want to take care of all these tomatoes and take the skins off. Drop your tomatoes in the water, and as soon as you see the skin start to peel off of the tomatoes, they're done. Usually takes 1 to 2 minutes, depending on how firm your tomatoes are. Fine. You don't want to leave them in there any longer than that, because then you're actually cooking the tomatoes. We want to cook these tomatoes so we're just taking an ice bath, and we're going to remove the tomatoes into the ice bath. The reason we're using the ice bath is we want to stop the cooking method, but you can see the tomatoes are these tomatoes are so fresh that they take a lot less time for the skin to come off of them. Depending on how fresh and the next step is to let these cool off. You don't want to pull them out right away, because what happens is they'll keep cooking once they're removed from the water. So what I like to do is actually just peel them. You can see how the skin just peels right off of them. And that's why we put the craw. I just don't want them to be too soft. So you can dice them like this. All I do is put a couple slices in each way, and then you can flip it over and just get a little dice out of it that way. Or you can just rough chop it. I like them a little bit smaller, and that's why I cut it that way. So just a rough chop for your tomatoes. You end up with your tomatoes here. That was about 5 fresh tomatoes. So that's going to be enough for probably 2 people. By the time that cooks down, you're only going to get about 2 servings out of that. You are going to only cook this for about 7 to 8 minutes. So now we're going to go with our garlic. And you can put as much garlic as you want. A recipe is just a guide. If it only says 3 cloves of garlic and you love garlic, go ahead and put a little more in there. Of course, if you're using fresh garlic that you had out of your garden, it's going to be much stronger, so you might want to use a little bit less. So we're just going to give this a little rough chop. And this sauce is going to cook quite quickly, so you don't want to put giant chunks of garlic in there. You want to mince the garlic up a little bit. It doesn't have to be totally minced, but you want to chop it up, because the less time that you cook a dish, the more you're going to want to chop your garlic. And what we're going to do is dice this onion. So you bring it to the edge of your cutting board. This is the easiest way to dice it, for me anyway, but you don't want to beat your onions up too much, because then you're going to release all the liquid out of it, and you're going to be crying a lot. We don't want any crying in the kitchen. So we're going to go ahead and dice our onion. Okay, now that we have our onions, our tomatoes, our garlic all chopped up, those are our 3 main ingredients for this dish. And what we're going to do is we're going to actually saute our onions and garlic. We're going to give them just a little bit of color until we get a nice aroma out of those, just a light brown color. Now, so we got a nice color on our onions and our garlic, and we're ready to go ahead and add our tomatoes. Of course, this is going to be on high heat. We're just going to stir to incorporate that. And what we're going to do is we're going to let this cook down a little bit. It's going to break our tomatoes down and actually create a sauce going to draw the moisture out. Now we go ahead and add some salt and pepper. I like to add a little sea salt to it. Add salt to taste. And some fresh cracked pepper. Add as much as you like. That's your preference on the pepper. Because at the end I am actually going to add some crushed red pepper also, pepperoncini pepper. I like mine a little bit spicy. If you don't like it spicy, don't add any of the red pepper. So you got your heat back up on high, and we're going to let this simmer for a few minutes, and it'll start to create a sauce. That's going to take about 5 to 7 minutes. So we'll go ahead and let that take a simmer for a while, and we'll come back and finish this sauce. So our sauce has been cooking for about 5 minutes. As you can see, we're starting to develop some moisture in there, which is fantastic. At this point, you want to give it a taste. And what we're tasting is we want to taste everything that's in there. So salt is the key at this point. So we want to give it a little taste. That tastes just about right. I'm going to go ahead and wait till the very end. At this point, I'm going to add some extra virgin olive oil to it. That's going to give us a nice fruity flavor without that burnt olive oil taste. So now we're going to go ahead and add some fresh herbs to that. And what I have here is some fresh oregano, some fresh basil, and some fresh Italian parsley. Now you can add whatever fresh herbs you like in there, but I would try to stick with some Italian fresh herbs in there. Of course, the parsley, oregano, and basil are always going to be tasty. And you want to add these right at the end like we're going to here. And they're only going to be in there for just a couple of minutes. And that's going to be fantastic flavor when it's done. I also have a couple extra cloves of garlic here that I like to add at the end. I like a really nice strong garlic flavor to this. You can see the nice color that we're getting out of that now. And with your fresh herbs is really going to taste great at this point. One more time, we give it another taste with our fresh herbs. We have our olive oil in there. Tastes really nice and fruity. I like a little bit of fresh garlic at the end. That's optional. If you're a garlic lover, of course you're going to want to put some of this in at the very end to give it that nice bite of garlic just before you serve it. So in we go with our fresh garlic. Give that one more stir. And then you want to have some nice pasta with this. This sauce is fantastic. Like you can see, it would be great to just take, at this point, you could take some fresh clams and mussels, throw them in there, pop a lid on it, and have a great seafood tomato sauce. That would be fantastic. Just serve that in a bowl. It also could be a great beginning for an Italian soup. You could add some cannellini beans into that, a little bit of chicken stock, and maybe throw some fresh spinach or fresh greens in there, and just let that go, and you can serve that as a soup. But we're not going to do that. We're serving this as a fresh tomato sauce. So we have some fresh cooked pasta here. All you have to do, you can either serve it over top. Normally I like to have my pasta coated really nicely. So we're going to go ahead and put the pasta right in. So we're saying about 2 portions for that. And they're going to be 2 hearty portions. This will be your main dish. So go ahead and throw your pasta in. Give it a little stir. Make sure your pasta is well coated. At this point, you're going to want to add a little bit more olive oil to that. Give it a little bit more flavor, just a little bit of really good olive oil right on top of that pasta. It'll get a nice fruity taste. So here we go with our plate.